Hey, Chef Billy Parisi here from billyparisi.com, and today we're making an amazing homemade bread. We're going to be doing a round spelt flour bread recipe, doing it in partnership with my friends over at Bob's Red Mill. We've made the sourdough starter, and now it's time to finally get into bread making in here so early. Bread baking like this is a time labor of love. I say time labor because it's really not that intense, like physically intense. You just gotta sit and wait for things to rise, ferment, all that good stuff to get a really delicious homemade bread. But I also wanted to show you what it's like from the beginning all the way to the end. We're definitely gonna do it in this bread recipe. Not sure about the others in the series, but for this one, here's what we're gonna do. We need to feed the starter that we've been creating. So when you come in early in the morning, I got here around 7 a.m., I discarded all but 150 grams of that starter or Levain. Go ahead and get rid of that extra or make a new one, whatever you want to do. And at this point, we are going to add in 480 grams of flour, 120 grams of whole wheat flour, 480 grams of warm water around 90 degrees. Remember, my studio is a little bit cooler, so I need the water to be a little bit warm here. We're gonna mix it just until combined. Go ahead and put a lid on it and let it sit somewhere warm for about 8 to 8.5 hours. Now, I know you guys, this is a ton of time to wait. This whole process takes around 30 hours. If you were to go to a professional bakery, or if you just want to know how they used to do it 100, 200 years ago, this is the process. It takes time to get a naturally rose bread. So it takes time, you guys. You got to have patience. We're going to be using spelt flour in this recipe, and spelt flour is a relative of whole wheat, or whole wheat as we know it today in modern day. Was introduced in the United States in the 1800s and got replaced. It uses the entire kernel, the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. It is 100% whole grain. And you're gonna notice that in this recipe, I'm going to cut it. I'm not gonna use 100% spelt flour from Bob's Red Mill. And that's because I really don't like really dense breads. I like those big air pockets, those fluffy, sort of hard crust on the outside, fluffy inside, loaded with air pockets. I just think it tastes better, it looks better. That's just me. So now that you've waited around for 8.5 hours, the first thing we are going to do is Autolease this flour and water. So the first thing we're gonna do is measure out all of our ingredients. So we're gonna start by using Bob's Red Mill Artisan bread flour, which is loaded with protein, gonna be perfect in this recipe. Next, like I said earlier, we're gonna be using spelt flour. This has just got a delicious, slightly sweet, nutty flavor and smell to it. It is perfect in this recipe. You're gonna have a nice round brown bread recipe. Go ahead and add that to the mixture. Next, we're gonna add in some warm water. I'm gonna be about in between anywhere from 96 to 99 degrees, depending on how warm your room temperature is. Now we're gonna do the Autolease. We are gonna mix this until combined. No need to overmix, but mix it until it is combined. You're probably thinking to yourself, dude, what is Autolease? Autolease is this process where you wanna mix the flour and the water before you add in the salt or the yeast or the levain. What this does is it activates the enzymes in the flours, turning it from complex carbohydrates into sugar so that the yeast can feed on it when you add it in, or your levain, which has natural yeast in it. It is the only way that I make bread now, ever since I've learned it a few years ago. It just makes an incredibly delicious bread. It allows it to be easy to form. It's just the best way to bake bread, and this is what all professional bakers do, so I highly recommend doing this. And plus, after you Autolease it, it only sits for about 25 minutes, which is no big deal. Now at this point, or while you're waiting for the Autolease to take place, I'm just gonna measure out some sea salt. We're gonna set that to the side, and now for the levain, what I'm gonna do is measure out about 250 grams of levain right into another container. Now this stuff is sticky, so what I usually have is a container of water that I use, that I dip my hands in to sort of get the levain off of the spoon or off my other hand. It is really sticky, so it's just a really good idea to do this. Set that to the side, and at that point the Autolease should have been activated. We are ready to roll. So go ahead and sprinkle that sea salt all over the top. The next thing we are going to do is add in our Levain or starter, and then we want to vigorously bring all of these ingredients together. I like to squeeze everything. There's a method called pincing as well, but I like to squeeze it, get all of those ingredients through my fingers and really just form it by folding and squeezing until it is completely combined. What we want to do at this point is put a cover on it and let it rest for 20 minutes, and then we're going to be doing some folding. Folding is where you stretch the dough, not to breaking it, but before breaking it, and then folding it over, turning it, stretching, fold. I do about 6 to 8 folds every 20 minutes for 80 minutes. So after 20 minutes, uncover it, fold it, cover it back up, let it sit for 20 minutes, repeat the process 3 more times. Now what we need to do is let this bread rise, get all of that great Levain natural yeast, that fermentation help break down the gluten overnight. We want it to be covered in a warm place for up to 16 hours, no less than 10 hours. We really want the dough to triple in size. So find that nice place, go take a nice rest, and then we'll come back and you'll see how beautiful it is. I've let the dough rise for about 16 hours. You can see it's tripled in size. That's why it's so great to use a container that has measurements on the side so you can see how much it's actually gone up. You can tangibly see, okay, went from 2 quarts to 6 quarts. That's not what it did in this case, but I'm just giving you an example. So what we're gonna do here is we need to prepare everything, to cut them, to form them, to let them rest again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to heavily flour up some brat forms. These are just bread baskets, also known as a benetton. And once they are nice and floured up, what I want to do is get some flour on my hands, and I'm going to transfer the dough right to a floured surface. You can see my dough is a little bit wet. That is just a personal preference. I'm working with a hydration of 80%. We're going to get into more of that in the next video, don't you worry. But for now, go ahead and try to form it to an equal sort of shape and size, cut it right in half. And then for the first one, what we want to do is form it by sort of cupping it. So go around the outside and bring your hands together underneath, sort of cupping it and turning it, cupping it and turning it till you get sort of a loose ball. And now what we want to do is transfer it right over to one of the floured benettons. What we do is put a towel over it, or if you have plastic wrap, totally up to you. And we want to let it rest for 3.5 to 4 hours. With about an hour left in the rise time here, and that after it's been formed, we are going to preheat the oven to 500 degrees. We're going to put some Dutch ovens in there. That's what we're going to cook these in. Once it gets to 500, we're going to let it sit for about 30 minutes. You want these pans to be really hot, really preheated. And now what we want to do is take the Dutch ovens out of the oven, put them on the countertop. And now what we want to do is invert those benettons so that the bread is, you can see that it's nicely formed and shaped on top. We're going to gently transfer those to those hot Dutch oven pans. Please be careful because the pans are super hot. And you can either leave them as is or score it. I'm gonna score it. I'm gonna do a simple cross on one, and then I'm gonna come across on the other like a half moon, so to speak, like a big fingernail, if you will. We wanna cover these. They're going in the oven for 30 minutes. After that time, we're going to uncover it and let it cook for another 25 to 30 minutes. You want this bread to be dark brown. Wow, these are absolutely gorgeous. Exactly what you're looking for here. We are gonna simply set them on a resting rack. We're gonna let it cool for 30 minutes, and then you want to cut into these and serve them. Of course, you can see how beautiful they look. Oh, I mean, tons of air pockets. You get that nice hard crust, that beautiful, delicious, tender inside. This, my friends, is exactly how bread should be made. It's how it used to be made. It's how it should still be made. Loaded with flavor, 3 ingredients: flour, water, and salt. Of course, let's try this out. I always say it, nothing like homemade pasta and bread.
That's amazing. If you missed how to do that sourdough starter, click the link right over here. It will take you through that tutorial. Of course, subscribe. I'm out.